The creator of heaven and earth consists of three elements: solid, gas, and liquid. Solid, gas, and liquid, which are essentially all the same thing, but that would be too deep, and I don't want to get into that. They're different, but they're the same, but we're going to explain them here. The creator of heaven and earth is made into three components: solid, gas, and liquid. Solid, gas, and liquid. Solid, gas, and liquid. John 5:43. John 5:43. I have come in my Father's name, and you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him will you receive. I have come in my Father's name, and you, Negroes, do not receive me. You don't receive Christ. He said he came in his Father's name. So many of you would like to call him Jesus when the etymology of Jesus is earth pig. There's no way around that. Yes, it does matter. It does matter. There's no way around that. How does that not matter when the origin of the word Jesus is blasphemous? How? How can you say, how can you fix it for any amount of money to say that that matters? How can you say that that don't matter? How can you fix that in yourself? To say that Jesus, when the etymology, the original, it's not the absolute origin of the word, because the origin of that word is Greek, bouncing off of Isus, which is where the Greek god Zeus came from. That's the reason why in Islam you call him Isa, or quote unquote Isa. That also is Arabic. If so, still bouncing off of Isus. So if he's any of those names, where is Esau? Where is Jesus? Where is Isus in God? So the Father's name is supposed to be God, right? Well, some of you will say Jehovah. Okay, so I say Jehovah to even damper the argument, to densify the argument even. Jehovah, which is also incorrect. Now, saying Jehovah is nowhere near as bad as saying God. So we're not even going to use the word God. We're going to use the word Jehovah. Why? So we can densify the argument. Where is Jesus in Jehovah? Where is the etymology of Jesus, which is earth pig? Where is earth pig in Jehovah? Where is Esau in Jehovah? Where is Isus in Jehovah? We know none of those. We know that none of those names can go in God. So let's densify the argument, because God wouldn't make sense at all. There's no Jesus in God. There's no Isus or no Esau in the word God. He said he came in his Father's name. So at this point, I would like everybody to use their common sense. Everybody needs to use their common. Don't worry about me. Don't concern yourself. Don't waste your lives away with concerning yourself with me. Stop wasting your lives with hating me. Stop wasting your life away with despising this Malak. Hearken unto the word of Elohim, which cannot be disputed. And at the end of the day, this is the only thing that's going to rescue anybody who is a believer. This word. It ain't going to be me. I'm not going to be able to make or break black people. Time after time again, I tell you all that I'm only a man. I don't want any glory for what I'm doing. And the more of you that despise and the more of you hate me, the better my job, the better I'm doing my job. The more shit I get from my own people, the better I'm doing my job, because that means the things that I'm saying are resonating and they're hurting. But then Christ is going to say, but if another come in his own name, you Negroes will receive somebody else that comes in his own name. So if the name of the quote-unquote father is Yahuwah, and the name of the quote-unquote son is Yahusha, that makes a lot of sense. Yahuwah, meaning Yah is all existent. Yah is the existing one. Elohim is the existing, Yah existing. Yahusha means Yah is deliverance. Okay? So now, Yah is the root of his name. Yah is actually his name. So the Father, quote unquote, is Yah, and the Son, quote unquote, is Yah, because they're the same. And that makes more sense. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 9, Yahusha was teaching and being an example of how to pray to the Ruach Elif, or the Ruach Elef. Now, let me explain. This bench is very uncomfortable. Now, let me explain. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 9, Christ was teaching and being an example. See, this is what I was trying to explain to you all. The purpose of him coming down here in the flesh was to be an example. In Matthew 6:9, Christ was teaching and being an example to how to pray to the Ruach Elef. And Yahusha himself is the esteem Elef. Now, what is the Ruach Elef? And what is the esteem Elef? Now, to many of you in the circumcision, to many of you Old Testament only, and to many of you whom are Muslims, who many of you count out the New Testament. Not all of you, but it's hypocritical to believe in a Yahusha, even if you thought he was an ordinary man. He didn't show up to the New Testament. So how is Islam going to throw out the whole New Testament, but yet believe in a man who walked in the New Testament? That doesn't make any sense. And but this here is directed to you Hebrew Israelites. Why? Excuse me. This here is directed to the Christians. Why? Because the Christians, not all Christians, some Christians know the difference. But many of you Christians think that there is a so-called Trinity, 3 separate deities. Well, for the sake of the argument, there's only one. But for the sake of the argument here, I just want you to know one thing. It's only 2 situations here. Elohim is only made up of 2 things. Now, I know I said earlier that Elohim consists of 3 elements. I don't want you to get elements and his nature confused. He has a dual nature, right? And I've said a singular God with a triune nature. Triune meaning 3. Now, I don't want to confuse anybody here. And the last thing I don't want to do is to be viewed as a hypocrite. So now many of you are having a problem with what I'm saying. Because the word says that he's one God with a triune nature. So now a lot of you are saying, well, okay, so does he have a triune nature? But you just said he has a dual nature. I'm going to explain everything. It's a triune nature, but it's actually a dual nature. And I'm going to make sure that you're not confused after I'm done explaining this. Pay attention. So it's either 2 or 3, dog. Come on, dog. It's either 2 or 3. Now, you're right. It's either 2 or 3. Because they can't be both, right? It can't be 3 and 2, right? He has to be one or the other. Is he a triune nature or is he a dual nature? Well, he's both quite technically, but I'm going to cover my tracks. Now I want you to pay attention. First of all, I want to separate nature from components or not components, because components can be the same thing as a nature. But I want to separate his components and his nature from his elements. Okay? So, everything around us is either solid, gas, or liquid, which is Elohim. Everything, there's nothing outside of those 3 characteristics. It's either solid, gas, or liquid. That's it. That's it. There's nothing outside of that. Now, he's that too. But let's separate that from what we're talking about right now. So, how can he be 3 people? Well, we're not talking about people at all. But how can he have a triune nature or a triune characteristic and a dual characteristic? Because that don't make sense. Pay attention. Remember what I explained to you what his nature was. Physical, which is the image, which is his esteem or his body. Just like all of us have a physical esteem or a body. Now, I want y'all to listen, right? The physical esteem or a body. Now, what I want y'all to understand is that he also has a spiritual nature, just like me and you. We have a soul and we have a body. You, as a person, are only a dual nature unless you receive the Ruach HaKodesh, which then you become a triune nature. Now, pay attention. Elohim is actually a dual nature, He's the Ruach Elef, which is the spirit power. And he's the Esteem Elef, which is the physical power. So you have the spiritual power, which is the Ruach Elef, and you have the physical, the image, which is the Esteem Elef. Both are God. Christ is the image of the invisible God. He's just a dual nature. The only reason why the third nature is added is because from the Ruach Elef, from the spirit, is a wind or a breath that comes and extends itself from his soul, from his power, from his own spirit. So I want to explain. You have Elohim sitting on his throne. You can see him. He's a man. He's surrounded by a light, which is the Ruach Elef, his power. An extension from that power is the wind or the breath, or that's also called the Ruach. But that's the spirit of truth that resonates and extends from his power. But it's still his spirit. See, I'm covering my tracks. Pay attention. Because the Ruach, this whole planet is filled with the Ruach. This is the first segment. It's titled, Where is God? This whole planet is filled with the breath and the air of Christ. That's the third extension, or that's the third nature. But it's still coming from the first nature, which is the Spirit of God. So it's the same thing. It's just an outreach and an extension from his power, but it's not a different nature. So you just have the spirit and you have his image or his soul and his image, just like you and I. We're a soul and an image. We only become a triune nature when we receive the Ruach, which is the Spirit of God, which then resonates with our psyche and lets us know that we're children of Elohim. Now, the renewed covenant reveals the original, and the original covenant confirms the renewed. This is very important. You never must forget that. So if something in the New Testament needs to be confirmed, you go back to the scriptures and confirm it. If something in the Old Testament needs to be revealed, you go to the New Testament for revelation. Now, where is God? 1 Kings 8:49. 1 Kings 8:49. 1 Kings 8:49. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven. Then hear thou their prayer and supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause. Where is God? Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven your dwelling place. So Elohim, God as you all would call it, is in heaven. But I want you all to listen very carefully. The existence of a human being is limited to a point in time and physical space. So you and I, we're all limited to a point in time in physical space, to a point and time. See, that's very important. Time. All of us are also limited to the time construct. We can't go backward and we can't go forward. Science has and will accomplish a lot of things, but I promise you, they will never, ever accomplish time travel. It will never happen. Because if Christ was to allow that, then his prophecies that have passed and his prophecies that are to come would be compromised. And we all know that what Elohim has spoken will not return void. Whatever Christ has prophesied through his prophets and what he prophesied when he came and walked cannot be altered. So if we use our common sense, will time machines, will they ever discover how to make? No, never. Because it's not possible. It's not humanly possible, nor can the fallen angels do it. They can't do it. When John the Baptist was revelating, he wasn't taken to the future. He was given a vision of the future. Other angels have done that with other prophets. They may take them and give them a visual effect of the future, but it's never the actual future itself. So we people, ordinary human beings, myself and the rest of you, we are regulated by time and physical space. Nothing we can do about it. Elohim is not regulated by these restrictions. So Christ is not regulated by these restrictions. He has always existed and is omnipresent. The Merriam-Webster define. I love the Merriam-Webster because it comes off of the Greek. The Merriam-Webster defines omnipresent as present in all places at all times. So that means Christ is present at all places at all times. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So Elohim is everywhere. Christ is everywhere. There is no place on earth where he is absent. Elohim said, Jeremiah 23 and 24, he said, "Can anyone hide from me in a secret place? Am I not everywhere in all the heavens and earth?" Jeremiah 23 and 24 states, "Am I not everywhere in all the heavens and earth?" Is Christ not everywhere in all the heavens and earth? So now, many of you will say, how is Christ everywhere? I don't see him. Where is he? Where is Christ? He's everywhere. You just said that God was in heaven. Yeah, he is in heaven. He's everywhere else too. Now, listen to the word of Yahuwah, black people. Because Christ has a case against all you Negroes. Because amongst us there is no faithfulness, no kindness, and no knowledge of Christ amongst us. For his people, for the people of God, for this black people is foolish. They have not known Christ. They are silly children, and they have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good you have no knowledge. You are very wise to slander, gossip, mock, lie, laugh, and perpetrate, be pretenders and liars and hypocrites. You have all the time in the world. Some of you wake up on go. But to do good, you have no yardar. You do not know. You don't know. You don't yardar. Segment 2. We're first going to discuss the solid. The solid is going to be very, very quick. And I'm going to spend most of my time on liquid and gas. Gas is the most important one. Elohim is 3 elements: solid, liquid, and gas. Segment 2, solid. Christ is the Christ is the visible image of the invisible power. Let me say that again. We're talking solid, something that you can touch, something that you can see as well. Christ is the visible image of the invisible power. He existed before anything was created and is supreme over all creation. Colossians 1:15. The NIV did the best job. Christ is the visible, physical image of the invisible spiritual elect. He's the visible, solid, physical image of God. He existed before anything was created. He existed before anything was created and is supreme over all creation. John 1:14. I'm not going to waste time with solid. We're going to get solid out of here because solid's not very important. John 1:14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, or we beheld his esteem, the esteem of the only begotten of the Father, full of mercy and truth. Bones, our bones, are made from the same material as the rock. He made our bones from rock, our skin from the dirt, our souls from his spirit. He then animated us and made us a living soul. That's it for solid. Now, let's go into the third segment, which is liquid. The third segment is liquid. I'll be right back.